Hey lovely people, hope you're doing well. I'm Hannah, for those of you who don't know and are joining me for the first time. Welcome. This is predominantly a poetry channel, but because of doxing and lots of other restrictions that have been put on my life, this is the purpose of this video, to talk a bit more in detail about one of the main restrictions that I've had to endure. I'm covering other topics like illegal surveillance and gang stalking and terrorism through tech and things like that on the channel because it's my personal experience, and it just helps me not keep all of this trauma inside my body. But yeah, thanks for being here and supporting the channel. There's been a few new subscribers, so welcome. Thank you for joining this community and helping it to grow. It's still a baby, but you've come at the baby stages, which is the most exciting part, I would say. So for those of you who don't know, there is a fake trust that's attached to my house, and in particular it's a transfer of death deed, because on the title documents it says beneficiary, and I don't know how it's got on there, because you're supposed to actually check that it's valid to have in this country or whatever, or even if it's been authorized properly. So but the UK Land Registry has processed this, so it must be something that they do, because they processed it very easily. They don't know what checks they did, because they never checked with me and they never checked with my primary mortgage provider to check the validity of any of the documentation or any of the legal framework that was submitted to them. But primarily these sorts of trusts are set up to avoid paying inheritance tax and avoid the probate process when someone dies. And then basically it outlines who a property transfers to on death. So these selected beneficiaries, they control whichever, if that's on a property, they control the property. What also comes with these types of trusts or deeds or whatever, transfer of death deeds, is that those people who have got the beneficiary on my house, they also bear a responsibility to pay the mortgage on the property, which has not been done. This is a new discovery for me in recent days. So they're supposed to pay any fees, so any taxes, any interest, any mortgage, anything like that. But in my case, the bank who is behind this has refused to give me the details and disclose the people who are the beneficiaries or who are the guarantors behind this transfer of death deed, because they've also been preventing me from paying the mortgage adequately, and on clockwork like I used to before this hell was imposed on me. And they've been actively blocking my income. So people who are new, this is probably finding this video first before any of the others. Since 2021, I've been terrorized through tech and financially. And I'm over time, I'm connecting the dots about what's going on. Because it's just the terrorization has been just very excessive. And like, for people that don't know, I have drones day and night. So there's a constellation of drones every night in cloudy Manchester. Every night stalking. They've had my tech's compromised, and I don't earn any money to can't replace it. They vandalised my car. So my car got vandalised when it was parked like a bit further down the street when I had to leave it there because an ambulance was in the way for one of the neighbours. But I've lived on this street for a long time, never had any problems with my neighbours or anything like that, so I don't think it was any of them that did it. I've had problems with my mail. I've got false convictions from being terrorised by the DVLA wrongly and the council wrongly. And that they've been to put false convictions on my name to stop me from getting a job. And also siphon fine money illegally as well, which I've still not been able to sort out and stop because the justice system is very slow, and I don't know what's wrong with the people in it. Like, I hate to be mean about people, but they just don't seem all there. They really don't seem. I don't know what to say about them. They're either deliberate reprobates and deliberate delinquents, or they have special needs people on purpose, like doing that side of things. But that's an aside, to be honest. But basically, with a transfer of death, transfer on death deed, sorry, I don't know what, I can't get my words out. When the last remaining beneficiaries take the asset. So what I've been having to endure for the last 4 years is terrorism to try and get me to take my own life, so they can take my house and any other assets that are attached to it. So anything to do with my business, which again, people have been seeing me report on this channel and on Instagram about how I'm not getting any income from my videos. There's adverts on my videos. YouTube doesn't help me to find out where the money's going to or anything like that. And I can't just set up and run my business like any normal startup should have been able to do when I first set up my limited company at the end of 2022. So I don't know who, and same with Instagram. Like, my Instagram account is doxed, completely doxed. I don't get any new traffic there except for things like OnlyFans accounts, bodybuilding accounts, lots of plastic surgery, hair transplants, teeth, cosmetic dentistry, life coach adverts. I don't see anything to do with any of the accounts that I follow. A post from them pops up like once in a blue moon, but my account is just constantly bombarded with stuff that has nothing to do with me. I don't see any art come up, no poetry, and it's a poetry account. I do see things like Palestine advocacy things, but I don't really follow all of them because there's so many of them. The accounts that I follow, I don't know if the settings have been set up so I don't receive anything from the people I follow, or I get any new followers that have the same interests as me, or that would be a natural affiliation to what I'm putting on there. Same with YouTube. If I subscribe to channels on YouTube, I stop seeing anything to do with those channels, so I don't subscribe to channels on YouTube. And people might think that that's because people want subscribers on the channels because it helps the channels grow. But for me, everything is the opposite, which is really weird, and it's been deliberately set up like that. But I get no help. The UK government doesn't do anything. They too easily see me as the terrorist and as the problem, and I'm the one who's been sounding the alarm about all of these criminal activities that I've been subjected to that have stopped me from living a normal life. And now there's talk about right-wing politicians in the UK wanting to scrap the European Convention of Human Rights application in the UK, which would see criminals like what have been doing the crimes unto me be brought to justice. Because basically these crimes span all kinds of laws. They span property law, human rights law, employment law, tax law, inheritance law. It spans a whole. You can't just get one lawyer because lawyers work in specialisms a bit like doctors. And that's the challenge with all of it. It's like, I don't know how this loophole exists, or how they're able to do it with without any oversight whatsoever. But it's been so easily put through, and it doesn't seem that expensive to actually get one of these set up either. But it causes the worst damage to someone's life you can imagine. But anyway, going back to what I was saying before, yeah, they should have really been, they're responsible for the mortgage that I've not really been able to pay on the clock, on clockwork, for the best part of 3 years because of this trash. And they're responsible for those payments backdated to when this transfer on death deed was set up, which was November 2022. And they also are responsible for the damages that they've done to my life. They've been damage to my reputation, damage to my business, damage to all the loss of income, damage to my health, everything, damage to my societal standing, because they've completely diminished it from what it was. And I just want to give a warning as well. I probably should have done a bit more of a disclaimer that this is obviously very sensitive information. Hopefully it will help other people. And if I cry or get upset or anything, it's because it's very, very close to my heart. And also, I'll be talking about it a bit later on in the video. It has a bearing on what's happened in Gaza, where I'm from, where my people have been G-sided. And basically this is what they've been doing in the background for their Dubai 2.0 plan, which is this ceasefire plan that Nutty and Orange Fart are trying to get through. So mortgage providers, if you still have an outstanding, this is in the UK, I don't know about other countries. Generally speaking, I don't know if anything's changed. And the only reason why I think this would change is to allow criminal activity like this to happen more freely. Mortgage providers don't necessarily allow you to set up living trusts on properties that still have outstanding mortgages on them. And my mortgage provider and myself were not consulted in setting up this transfer on death deed. We both of us don't know, but it's got me and them in a hostage situation financially. And I'm the sole proprietor, so I'm the owner. I'm the owner, and we had no sight of any sort of documentation. You're supposed to set these up with lawyers, so with legal advice and legal assistance, and the sole proprietors are supposed to sign the transfer on death deeds. So somebody somewhere forged my signature, and they will have had to do some conveyancing arrangement or something with the mortgage provider, the existing mortgage provider, for what's still outstanding to them as well, which I don't think, I don't know if you can do that on death, but from the conversations I've had with staff in my mortgage provider, they don't know anything about this, and it's just and they can't do anything to actually help me either, because they don't have the legal they don't have any legal position to be able to intervene. So there's obviously lawyers setting these up who are corrupt. And are probably involved in all the illegal surveillance and terrorism through tech, and to stop me from earning money and stuff like that as well, because they've all probably got they all want their cut from the pie. after they've successfully got me to commit suicide, then they all get their cut of the pie and they're the job done. And it will all look legit. All the paperwork will look legit. My death will look like a suicide. But anyway, they will have had to. So these transfer of death deeds, they're supposed to appear on public records. So as well as they're putting it on the title of the property, they have to register it separately as another record. And like I've alluded to previously, it doesn't seem like there is any record of it, because the people in the land registry don't seem very clued up on any of this. But there needs to be a record of it for it to be valid. So it's either that there isn't one here in this country, and then it was set up by foreigners, which I think it was. I think it's Israel. Sorry, Shitrail. But these transfer of death deeds, they don't become effective until the last surviving owner passes away. So if I'm the sole proprietor and they've engineered conditions for me to commit suicide, then it's the whoever set this transfer of death deed up, it's then waiting for them to die for whoever they selected as their beneficiaries to claim my property. And effectively they have ownership rights. So that transfer on death document effectively makes them an owner via this loophole to claim my whole property. Beneficiaries might not even know that they're involved as well, because say for example I had kids and I set up a trust for my kids, they might not necessarily know that I've done that. So the people who will inherit my house might not even know this terrorism is being done to me, so they can inherit my house as well, which also needs to be said. But all the beneficiaries are supposed to be on public record, which, where is this record? Where is it? And the UK Land Registry, they should have these records, because they will have received a fee to process the transfer on death deed, and but they don't. No one's forthcoming with this information, so I think they're clueless in the Land Registry, to be honest. It's either that or the withholding information on purpose because they're in on it. That's all I can think of. Because they should know who holds the record and where the record is, and it's supposed to be a public document that anyone can access, at least not me, who is the owner of the property. But the records need to be done properly for it to be in effect anyway. So not only are they holding up my finances, but in my life, and then could have aiming to get me to commit suicide so they can claim my property. But if they've not done all the paperwork properly in advance, then all of my death, everything will have been for nothing, which is very sensitive for me, because that is what's happened in Gaza. I can guarantee you 100% that's what's happened in Gaza. And remember that all of you set these up to avoid paying inheritance tax and the probate process on someone's death, which can take a very long time to release assets. Another thing that I learned recently as well is that these transfer of death, transfer on death deeds, they supersede any last will and testament. So any will that I produce for my wishes, for my assets when I die, this trumps it. This is prioritized by law, and a will cannot revoke it or amend it. So whoever has set up themselves up as beneficiaries to my asset, whatever they say goes above me who's taken this house from a restoration nightmare to what it is today, done it all myself, blood, sweat and tears, got scars on my body for what I've done, just all by myself. Someone can just do paperwork like that in the background and take it all away from you and try to have you killed and make it look normal, make it look like I'm mentally unfit and I've got mental health problems, or I'm an addict, or I'm a sex worker, or whatever. Because what they've been doing stuff like that by putting me on OnlyFans and things like that, and trying to damage my reputation to legitimize what they've done. But I've been talking about that on other videos. That's an aside for this one, to be honest. So what I think is the case for my case is that there's a lot of beneficiaries. So it's my house is in a pool, like a pooled trust, and that causes extra problems because then there's and stagnation and things like that for the bank who's behind all of this, who's the face of it, to be honest, to actually remove these fraudulent deeds from the title to my property, is because if there's more people who think that they're inheriting something, then there's more people to have to agree to do something, and there must be a lot of disagreement and a lot of resistance to having this removed. So from their side, which is ridiculous because they forged my signature, so I never agreed to it anyway, and what they say doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, I don't know how to get it forcibly removed. Like they all belong in prison. They really all belong in prison. But yeah, there must be some sort of like lack of consensus about removing it. And the same with about blocking my access to business finance, because they put restrictions on where I had to get permission from them. And they kept refusing. They refused that like 3 times. And that was before I found out that this deed was on my house. And so I think that must be another reason for all the refusals, because they must have to get consensus from all of these parties, which they can't get. And like I said, I'm just piecing things together from my own research and from my own experience. If anyone has been through something similar and has got anything to add, then feel free to add to the conversation. But this is what I've been having to do on my own with lack of help and support, because I always feel like I am the most knowledgeable person when I'm talking about this, when I try to get help from other people who I think are in professions or in services that should see this day in day out, or have dealt with this with other people. No, I just get the impression that they're all it's either not very common, or they just don't know what I'm talking about, even though like that, to me, that's just I can't understand how you can be in a job like that and so readily just this is specifically about the people in the land registry, and to some extent, like with my mortgage provider, like they've never seen it either, and they deal with mortgages every day, like they've never seen this. And yeah, the people in the land registry, it's not just like it's the solicitors as well that are supposed to be dealing with the complaints. They, like, to them it's like it seems like news, which is, like I said before, I don't know if they're in on it and they're waiting for their cut, or if they are genuinely like clueless, even though they're so easily processed the paperwork to cause the hell in my life in the first place. And that they always just say they just act on the legal instruction that I've agreed to. They've done this to me before in the past, which has helped me know that there's something odd this time, because when I separated with the partner that I bought my house with in the first place, there was a restriction that I didn't know about that changed the ownership from joint to tenants in common for the process, and then that restriction remained for like 7 years after. No, 5 years after, when it was discovered. No, it was 7 years. So it was discovered 5 years after, and it took another 2 years to actually have it removed. But with that, I could actually go back to the conveyancer solicitor that I should have done it in the first place at the time. This was in 2017. It should have been removed. And put the burden on her because she didn't do her job properly. But with this, there's nobody's taking ownership from whoever set it up or whoever did it. I can't get any person to there's no contacts, there's nothing of who did it. But anyway, this is particularly painful to go through, and I think everything happens for a reason, and God's made me go through this for a reason, confirmation. Because these transfer on death deeds will have been set up for people in Gaza to steal all the land. And the criminals who've been killing my people will have been setting these up to secure investments and build on top of the blood and the bones of my people to build Dubai 2.0. And they will have not set up these deeds properly because none of the proprietors of the land or of the properties in Gaza will have actually signed anything. Just like me, I've not signed nothing. My signature's been forged, and they can't actually say they don't know whose properties what, because they survey everybody, just like they've been stalking me. Gaza is the most surveyed place on earth. It's most stalked, most surveyed, most documented. They know everybody. So and like they know when I was interrogated by them in 2019 on the border with Jordan, they knew more about my family's massive. They were trying to get information from me about my family from me that they had on the computer. So it's just like, well, why are you even asking me when it's on the computer? You've got it on the computer. And two, they knew more. I don't know all my family's massive. I don't know them all. I've got hundreds of cousins. I don't know them all. Like they know who everyone is by name, by address, by everything. They track everyone by phone. Like what they do everything. They know everything. So they can't say that they don't know who has the deeds and who's on the deeds and who they should have been getting signatures from, and that's why they kill whole families. That's why you've been seeing that they've been waiting until the people, they've been waiting until the person that they want to target has got home and they're from work or whatever. You've been hearing it for more often from the healthcare workers and the journalists than any other kinds of reports. They've been waiting. They've been following them by drone, and then wait until they get at home, and then they kill the whole family. So there's no heirs. There's no people to inherit. So they've been doing that with the more wealthy people. And then obviously, like, by leaving loads of orphans and leaving maimed people and leaving lots of people with disabilities and people with psychological trauma, people with no shelter, you just leave people in a traumatized and unawakened state to even be aware that this was the agenda, and this was the insidious engineering behind the G-side in the first place, to be able to actually stand up for what is theirs. Because this whole bullshit, this whole sick, I don't even know what to call it, because it's just so sick. It's so sick-minded and so psychopathic. They leave people in a state where they can't challenge it, and we shouldn't even have to fight for what's ours in the first place. They put us in a competition that we shouldn't even be in. They make us compete for what's already ours, what we've already earned, what we've already been working for, what's already I'm the sole proprietor for my house, but they found a loophole to make themselves an owner. And I've been terrorized since 2021, June 2021, May, June, something like that. Well, I was been terrorized, yeah, May, June 2021 when it started. So this has been planned from at least then. I can assure you that the G-side on my people has been planned from at least that time. And yeah, and since then I've had to endure all the other terrorism, so and which has been from at least then. And like, I'm documenting this because I also have chronic fatigue. I've had that since 2022 after getting the flu in December 2021. And because they do spell work as well. They do spell work. And people don't know as well, I was weirdly knocked off my bike in 2022 as well, which left me with loads of like soft tissue injuries and things like that are just unexplainably don't heal. When before all of this, I've had injuries that I've healed from and got back to running, this is just really, really weird. And basically, like, pain in your body is from trauma, and that can also be linked to hereditary trauma as well. And so I'm reporting this just because of for my own records and for my own safety, but also to make people aware that this is hereditary trauma that needs to be got rid of out of my life. It needs to be gone. I don't need to be suffering like this. I should never have had to be suffering like this. I've done everything in my life the right way. And these people need to be locked up and imprisoned for the terrorism that they've done to me. And all the mortgage fraud, all the property fraud and everything that they've been doing to me. And also they've been doing to my people in Gaza, to steal everything for their settlements and their fake resorts. And this is European people, American people, is Zionatsi criminals, business people. Who are they? The people who've done this to my house, that I reckon 99% it's foreigners. It's foreigners. Anyway, that's the video. That's what I wanted to talk about today. Like I said, if anyone's got any contributions on what I'm sharing, has anything to correct or give any more information or advice, I would quite happily receive it, because I'm just doing my own research to try and get to the bottom of how to get out of this hole that I've been pushed in, this ditch against my will, and just to reclaim my life. So yeah, thanks for being here, and thanks for supporting the channel. Yeah, please do the free things, like, subscribe, share this widely as well, especially if you support the liberation of my people. Share this widely, because it's not very well talked about that this is the driver behind everything. This is what they've been doing in the background, and this is why they kill whole families. and leave no surviving members of the families, and why they follow people and kill all the families, and this is why they've been killing the children, so there's no heirs. So yeah, obviously this is not a light and jovial topic. It's very heavy, very you can be very triggering, and I'm actually surprised that I held it together and didn't cry, because it is very heartbreaking to experience, and to have these kinds of revelations. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone. Love you. Bye.